What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be doing a discussion regarding the really exciting future of console Fortnite. I used to do videos like this all the time where I basically just talk about a specific topic that I find interesting, and even though I stopped for a bit, this video will be one of those. There are two really major events coming up in the next few weeks and months that are going to totally change console Fortnite, and I'd even argue all of Fortnite in general. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first and most obvious event that's going to totally redefine console Fortnite is the release of the next-gen consoles. I honestly feel like PlayStation and Xbox both really aren't doing a great job of hyping it up, so it may seem kinda surreal that the release of both those next-gen consoles is pretty much right around the corner. And that's kind of funny because speaking of them not doing a great job of hyping it up, we still somehow don't know the exact release date yet for either of the consoles. The only sort of general time frame we've been given is holiday season 2020, and that can obviously mean different things to different people, but in my opinion that covers roughly the end of October to the end of December. And to be a bit more specific, even though as I said nothing is confirmed at all yet, based on the date of release for the previous generation consoles, it seems like right around the beginning to middle of November is a relatively safe bet. It is definitely possible that it gets delayed due to all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now, but I would guess a delay would have been announced already if that was the case. So this video is going to be uploaded at the very end of August, and if that November release date ends up being true, we're really only 2 to 2.5 months away at this point. Now I know that the majority of people won't get either console right away because it is going to cost a good amount of money. Again, even though there has been a ton of speculation and some bootleg leaks, we also don't even know what the price of the consoles are going to be either. There was a rumor for a little that it was going to be $700, that got a lot of people angry, but then it was revealed to be fake. Then there was another one for $500, I think I saw one that said they're both going to be $600, so even though nobody really knows, it is definitely going to be in that general range, and I don't think anyone would debate that's a lot of money. So the PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to change console Fortnite dramatically for a few different reasons. The first, most obvious, and most important one is definitely the increased FPS that it's going to run Fortnite at. No matter what model of Xbox One or PS4 you had, you were hard capped at 60 FPS, and a lot of the times you wouldn't even get that. My friends with the older generation Xboxes claim that they probably averaged about 50 to 55 during normal parts of the game, and even if you had the most advanced model of the last generation consoles, during endgames or just chaotic fights in general, you are going to drop from the high 50s/60 down to at least the 40s and sometimes even the 30s. And it should go without saying that FPS is absolutely massive in a game like Fortnite because it revolves a lot around small precise movements while doing things like aiming and editing. Now it's expected, and I believe even confirmed at this point, that both the Series X and PS5 will be able to run Fortnite at 120 FPS, so double what the Xbox One and PS4 currently get. So no matter what, this is going to be a huge boost that's going to make Fortnite significantly smoother and easier to play on console, but this doesn't tell the whole story. Probably the biggest question I have for next generation console Fortnite is pretty much, just because it maxes out at 120 FPS, does that mean it's going to consistently stay at or at least very near 120 FPS? Is it going to be the same deal as with the current generation of consoles, where yeah, you might get 120 FPS when nothing really is going on, but the second any action starts going down, it's going to drop like a rock? Now, I don't really know console hardware all that well, so I'm not going to provide any kind of personal opinion to try to answer that question, but here's what I will say. A few weeks ago, I watched 1 to 2 videos from some tech channels that seemed to be made by very smart people who knew what they were talking about, and the general theme in what they said is that the specs of both next-gen consoles were actually better than they were expecting, and in their opinion, based on those specs, a consistent 120 FPS should be achievable for most games. To be fair, they didn't specifically mention Fortnite, and I'm sure during super crazy situations like competitive endgames, you'll still see a huge dip, but as long as these consoles can mostly stay in the 100 to 120 FPS range, I really can't even put into words how big of an improvement that is over the current FPS on console. Some people may say, oh, going from 60 to 120 is no big deal when most PC players are on 200 to 250, but honestly, I would really disagree with that. Of course, that extra 100 plus FPS is still a really big deal, but extra FPS does kind of have diminishing returns. Going from 60 to 120 is way more noticeable than going from 120 to 180 or 180 to 240. So PC players will still definitely be at an advantage, but that gap is now a lot smaller between the two platforms. Another really important question about next-gen console Fortnite is, will Epic finally allow console players to customize their graphics settings? This is something that console players have been begging for since about Season 5 or so, and maybe even earlier than that. I don't claim to understand game development at all, so maybe this plain and simple wasn't possible, but it never made sense to me that console was forced to play on high-resolution graphics, and also forced to play with shadows on. It's very likely that if PS4 and Xbox players were allowed to lower their graphics settings like you can on PC, there would have been way less FPS dropping below 60. So maybe this is just a bit of wishful thinking by me, but here's my theory. Maybe Fortnite didn't want to add graphic customization options to PS4 and Xbox because they knew that the next-gen consoles were right around the corner. So now Epic can kinda market graphic customization options as one of the main reasons to upgrade your console. Or as I alluded to earlier, maybe it's not some conspiracy theory, maybe it just legitimately wasn't possible on the old hardware, but on the new consoles it will be. Another major question that I have regarding next-gen Fortnite is what Epic plans to do for competitive. Over the past 5 to 6 months or so, Epic has sort of changed their competitive philosophy on console players specifically. It used to be, hey, we know you're at a disadvantage, but all of our tournaments are going to combine every platform together, and that's the end of it. But fast forward a few months, and now we're seeing console-only cash cups pretty much every week. You're seeing a lot of daily cups that are console-only, and even FNCS had a console and mobile event with an equal prize pool to the PC one. But now that some console players are going to be on 120 FPS while the rest are still going to be on 60, is that philosophy going to change at all? My personal guess would be that they're going to keep it the same as it is right now, and I think that would kind of be unfortunate because the players who get the new consoles would just have an absolutely massive advantage. So even though there are still a ton of questions to be asked about the impact the next-gen consoles are going to have on Fortnite in general, I'm really excited to see what ends up happening. The other topic I want to quickly discuss towards the end of this video is one that affects competitive console Fortnite specifically, and that's Epic's little feud with Apple and its impact on mobile players. In case you somehow missed it, Epic and Apple are basically going to court, and Fortnite's one of the central themes of that lawsuit, and because of that, unless something absolutely dramatic changes in the next 48 hours or so, which I totally doubt, iPad and iPhone players will not be able to update their game for Season 4, and because of that, they won't be able to play with the rest of the Fortnite population. So something that became very popular as soon as console and mobile got their own FNCS was console players switching to iPad because of the extra FPS and extra FOV. I saw a crazy picture on Twitter a few weeks ago that showed the final leaderboard for a random FNCS qualifier week, and like 15 out of the top 20 players were on iPad. But as I just mentioned, because of the lawsuit, that's no longer going to be an option going forward. So here's basically how I think competitive console Fortnite's going to play out for the next few months. For Season 4, since the new consoles probably won't be out yet, it'll be a totally fair playing ground for the first time in a while. But then once November/December rolls around, you're really going to need to upgrade if you want to have any realistic chance. and that does definitely suck, but at least a $500 to $600 console is a lot more achievable than a $1,500 to $2,000 gaming PC for the majority of people. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. I want to ask two questions here. First off, do you plan on buying the PS5 or Xbox Series X? And second, do you think that you're going to be getting the console within the first few days or weeks, or are you going to have to wait a little longer? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.